Hi everyone, I am Thuruvan and today I'll be walking you through chapter 9 and 10 of the Art of Network Penetration Testing. These chapters cover what happens after you break into a Linux machine and how you can escalate privilege in the Linux machine and how attackers escalate all the way to owning an entire organization's network. I'll keep this high for now. After the slides, I'll walk through the actual demo where we will see all of these in action. So chapter 9 is about post-exploitation on Linux. If you remember chapter 8 on Windows, we had three goals after getting in: stay inside, steal credentials, and jump to other machines. Linux is exactly the same. The difference is just the tools. On Linux, attackers prefer to use what's already installed on the machine, things like SSH, cron job, instead of dropping suspicious files. This is called living off the island. It's stealthier and harder to detect because the tools look completely normal. The first objective is persistence, making sure you can always get back in. On Linux, the cleanest way to do this is a reverse tunnel. Normally, SSH works by you connecting to a server. A reverse tunnel flips that. The victim machines connect out to you. This is useful because most firewalls block incoming connection but allow outgoing ones. To automate this, we use SSH pairs, so no password is needed, and we schedule the script with cron so it runs every minute. If the tunnel ever drops or the machine reboots, cron automatically re-establishes the connection. The second objective is harvesting credentials. On Linux, this is less about exploiting the OS and more about looking in forgotten places. The first target is always the bash history. Every command a user types in the terminal gets saved in a hidden file. It's surprisingly common for administrators to accidentally type a password directly in the terminal. Maybe they mistyped a command or passed the credentials as an argument to a script. The second target is hidden dot files. Files and folders starting with a dot are invisible in a normal directory listing. Running ls-la reveals them all, and they often contain SSH private keys, API tokens, and application credentials. Third objective is privilege escalation, getting root. One of the most common Linux essential parts is misconfigured SUID binaries. SUID stands for set user ID. Normally, when you run a program, it runs as you. With SUID set, it runs as the file's owner instead, usually root. Some programs legitimately need this, like the password command, which needs root access to update the password database. The problem is when an administrator accidentally sets SUID on a program that shouldn't have it. If that binary is owned by root, any user on the system can suddenly execute commands as root through it. This is why auditing SUID binaries is a critical part of the Linux kernel. The final objective is lateral movement using what you found to get into other machines. On Linux, SSH keys are the most powerful credential that you can steal. When you authenticate with an SSH key, the server just checks, and does the private key match the public key I trust? If yes, you are in. No password involved. So if an attacker finds a private key sitting on a compromised machine, they can use it immediately against any server that has the matching public key in its authorized keys file. And because private keys without fast braces have no extra protection, they are effectively plain text passwords sitting on the disk. So chapter 10 is where everything we have learned comes together. Active Directory is the backbone of authentication in almost every large organization. It's a centralized system that controls who can log into what, every employee account, every server, every shared folder, everything. The reason attackers target it is simple. If you control Active Directory, it means you are controlling the entire network. You don't need to hack each machine individually. You just become an administrator everywhere at once. The book breaks the Active Directory compromise into 5 steps. First, Identify who the domains are. These are the accounts with the highest privileges. Second, locate a machine where one of them is currently logged in, because that's where their credentials are sitting in memory. Third, impersonating. Windows keeps authentication tokens in memory. Tools like Incognito let you steal and use them without ever knowing the actual password. Fourth, they use those domain admin rights to access the domain controller itself. Fifth, extract the NTDS.dit database and decrypt every password hash in the organization. Let me explain token impersonation because it's really an important concept. When you log into Windows, the operating system creates an authentication token and stores it in memory. Think of it like a temporary ID badge. Another program uses it to verify who you are without asking you for your password again. Tools like Incognito can list all the tokens currently stored in memory on the machine. If a domain admin is logged in, their token is there. An attacker with system privilege can steal that token and impersonate the admin completely without ever knowing their password. This is why it's dangerous to have a privileged users logged into compromised machines. The final step is extracting the NTDS.dit. This is the actual database that Active Directory uses to store credentials for every account in the organization. The problem is Windows keeps these files locked at all times. You can't just copy it and even as a domain admin. The workaround is volume shadow copy. This is a legitimate Windows feature that creates a frozen snapshot of the entire drive. In that snapshot, the file logs don't exist, so the database can be copied freely. Once downloaded, a tool called secretsdump.py uses the system registry hive, which contains the decryption key to extract every NTLM hash in the domain. Every user, every admin, every service account, the whole organization is compromised from a single file. That covers the theory for chapter 9 and 10. To summarize, on Linux, built-in tools like Cron and SSH are enough for persistence. Forgotten files like bash history and dot files leak credentials constantly. SUID misconfiguration and hackers root access and Active Directory. If not properly protected, is a single point of failure. Now let's jump into the live demo where I'll show all of this happening in real time. So right in this chapter, we gonna do post-exploitation on Linux and then how you can escalate the privilege into a root user in a Linux system. So for this scenario, we consider we already got the Linux system access. So this is the Linux machine. So we consider it has a vulnerable web application and somehow we got the access to it. So for now, we'll just consider we're not going to do the exploitation in this chapter. We're just going to work on post-exploitation. So what we can do is use SSH login. So I get to know the credentials. So give us a second. Yeah, we have to turn on the router. Yep. We just do SSH, pick my password. So we consider we already got the credentials. Okay. So it's just to get applications, just a normal user. We don't have sudo access on directory. So it says the database line the sudo was file. So right now we have to make a backdoor connection like how we did on the Windows machine. So for that we're gonna use the already have done the thing. So I'll just remove whatever we have done and SSH keygen strsa. So this is to create private public key. Okay. Mm, keys for the SSH authentication. So first of all, we will do to log in without the password reset. Okay. So it doesn't matter how we initially got the thing. We're gonna work on the post exploration. So we'll just run this command and then we can just we'll just specify pentest key. It's a different one. Fast breaks we've written specify any passphrase and then we could see the thing. So we just created here, but we just copy them into the SSH folder. We already copied, so we just so after we got it, we have to send the public key. So this is the public key to our attacker machine. So sorry. So we get to the attacker machine as you can see here, the IP is 10.0.10.60. So what we have to do is using the SAP command to send the public key. So this is the credentials to send it to, and then we'll just save it to the authorized keys file. So what will happen now is we make this attacker machine as an authorized user. So with that public key, they can just simply uh, log into the SSH without any password authorization. So and we do the password of the password is wrong. Just enter the password of the attacker. Yes, and then we could see it's copied successfully. So we'll go to the attacker machine and then SSH config. So we have to enable public key authentication. So as you can see here, we just uncomment it. So usually in the default file, it's commented out. So you can do a public key authentication, but you have to enable it. And then also we sent a public key there. So we can use the private key from this machine, and then we can do SSH connection from the attacker victim machine to the attacker machine. I'll just show you without copying for password. 60-I. Yes. And then we were able to get the attacker machine without prompting for a credential. IPBRA, we can go back. So this is the first step. So the next step is to make a cron job to make a SSH tunnel between the attacker and the victim. So as you can see in the default firewalls, they block the inbound SSH from like unknown IPs, but they usually allow the outbound SSH. So we're gonna use that and then make an SSH tunnel. So from this machine to the attacker machine, there will always a 20 SSH connection. So there will be an always an outbound SSH connection to the attacker machine. Like even if the tunnel breaks, the cron job is gonna run every 5 minutes. And then this this from this connection you can get to know how like we know the port of the tunnel, and then we can see whether it's live or not, and then we can just simply log into the SSH. So we'll get to see. So we'll use a simple bash script that enables the tunnel. TMP callback. Yes, this is the script. So we specify SSH-I with the private key. And then this the port that's listening on the attacker machine, and this the local host in the 22 port, which is the SSH port, and then this is the username and the creation username and the IP of the attacker machine. So we have already. So what we're gonna do is add the cron job to execute this script every 5 minutes. So for that, we just do cron tab. So I have already added here, so you can see every 5 minutes it calls the bash script, so which does the but for that we can go check it out here. It's already listening, so you can see here it's listening on that port. So and then next we just connect to that tunnel. So how you can do it, SSH web app at localhost P54325. So why we specify this is because the tunnel interface is listening for that. So You don't need to care what IP you put here because this port is listening on the local host on that machine. Let's press enter. So we were able to make the connection here, but the catch is you need the credentials. So we know the credentials of this user already, so we just make this connection. So we are making sure the connection is permanent. We made the backdoor. So next we will try to look into the files. It could have some password, clear text password. So one of the command is like dot files. So dot files usually they don't show up on when you do just list. But when you do list all and then you can see all these things here. So let's just try the bash history here. Yep. And you can see these are the commands that were done. So sometimes even the administrators they type the password in a hurry in the terminal instead of putting it inside. Or sometimes they could do like specify the password in the command itself. So it's a good thing to check the dot files, which the hidden files to for some good information. And the next thing is to elevate privilege. So as I have talked about in the previous presentation, the SUID. So SUID makes commands which enable to run as a root user. So even though you can see here, let's say for example, this command. So we could see here, let me just show you. So this command has the all these commands has the SUID as with the root. So when we do all these commands, it's gonna run as a root user, but you can run with any user, but it will run as the root user. So as you see here, the CP command here in this scenario has the SUID. So what we can do is ls-l in CP. So you can see here this S bit is a SUD command. So this the file owner is the root. So when we do this command, it's going to run as root, but without asking prompting for user sudo user password. So what I can do is so when you try to let's go back to the harvesting credentials. So let you when you have to do this, it says permission denied because this file has root permission. I can check. You can see only the root can view the file, edit the file, or everything else. So what we can do is we can use cp command to copy the shadow file and then share the shadow file here. And you can see this command run as root. And then when you do shadow file, you can actually look at the contents inside the shadow file. So this file has the password hash. So you can use this hash to brute force the hash and then get the clear text password like with the tools like John the Ripper like that. So that's fine. This just the harvest credential. And next step is to we're gonna use the cp command to get system level access. So first of all, you know this command. So this command is to update the password. So this file is sudo permission. So what you can do, but the file can be viewed by anyone else. So what you can do is copy the contents, copy the contents. When we do call, so I'll show you. So nano constant 2, then I'll paste the contents here. But I'll also show you that pass WD, pass WD1. So even though we copied here, when we do pass WD1, you can check it, but and we do nano pass WD1. Let's say we make some changes. It will not let you write. It says error writing pass WD1 permission denied. So even though we copy, so let's do this one. So even though we copy the file, so you can see here the owner is still the root when we do copy. So we only when we do cat and then copy paste the commands, we were sure that it's not that the owner is the current user. So what we have to do next is to enter the add a new user to the class WD. Like this is the one I added similar before doing the video. So I have to do the same thing to add a new user. The command is open SSL. So this is the command. So it's this command is gonna create a user using hacker and they give the hash of the password. The password I'm gonna give here is this one. And then press enter, so I'll get this one. So what I have to do is just copy this, then nano pass WD. Let's make sure which one of the file is editable. So password 2 is editable. So nano pass WD2. And then at the bottom, go to the bottom, and then paste it right here. Sorry, I just copy it again. And then add this for the root user. What we are saying here is act as a root. So you can see here, you can see we just copy the contents from here to there. What we said here is add as a act as the root user, use the root user, and use the root directory here, and then use the shell as the bin basher shell. So we are done, and then save the file. So we have to copy it back. So you know the cp command has the SUID, so you can just copy bash wd etc bash wd. Good. So we replace the file without a root privilege. So now what you can do is SU hacker. So there's some issues. Sorry. Nano pass WD2. So in the bottom, we have to use it like this. Hacker. And then these things come. So save it. Copy the pass WD2 to etc pass WD. And that's it. You can just log in as hacker, password, just enter the password you gave, and then you get the root access. You press ID so you can see everything's root. So now you got root privilege, and then you can run any commands as a root now. So we'll go to the next thing. So right now we have created the key and then shared it. So before, let's say for example, so now I just exit from the user and then so we can just go inside the directory here and press ls. So you know most of the time they're gonna create the keys inside this directory. So if you're lucky enough, you can find different keys. These keys we have created it, but you may find different keys which already created by the user and then used around many machines. So remember the lateral movement with the Windows machine. So this time we're gonna do the same thing, but for this scenario, I'll just explain what with my PC. So first of all, we have the public key here, right? So when the SSH do the authentication, it's gonna check the public key with the private key. So it's gonna check whether these two matches. So for in a secure environment, they share the public key to the outside network, and then they call joined with the private key, and then they log in. So what we're gonna do is so all the machines, all the other machines, they're gonna have the public key. So for example, we got the public key in under authorized keys. So you can see this public key of this one. Similar to that, whoever had the connection, they're gonna have the public key here. So what we have, we're gonna make a different approach. So they have the public key here. So we're gonna to get the private key from here, and then try to log into the all SSH machines in this in the network with the private key to log in to connect with the public key. So it doesn't matter which key makes the connection, either private key makes it or public key makes it. The thing is they both has to match. So we'll just get the contents of the public key. Sorry, you just need public key contents key. Yes. So you can see here and then get the files here. And then we can just save it. We already got it, but we'll just save store. So we'll just paste it here. It's already pasted. I'll just go with it. So now we got the private key here. So we're gonna try whether any other machine has already made an SSH connection, and then we can get the connection to the other. So for that, we'll use the Metasploit console. And then these are the commands to use. So this module you have to use to do that you have to use MS console and then run this command. So even if says the module has been moved, but you're using TSS login, but it still works. So would you just set the path of the private key, and then you set the username. So the tricky part is you should know the username, or you can you can brute force the username. If you're lucky enough, you can get inside. Then you just run it. Show what it says. Oh yeah, set our host file desktop labs host, and then SSH next, and then you just choose for liberty forest 209 keypad. So where the error was we set the R host file before the setting the keypad. So that was the issue. So we'll just set the keypad again, and then we'll just R host again, and then just run it. So it's just running. So you could see here this is the on machine. It was able to make connection to the on machine. So you can do sessions here, and then it shows shell session, and then you can do shell 2, and then you get inside the session, which is the SSH session. So the few things you have to know is you have to know the username of the machine. So you already know it, like as you already can find the usernames by accessing the cat etc swd here, and you can try the some domain usernames too. So again, so this shell will be open soon. and then this shell will be open soon. So we can move on to the chapter 10 now. So let's dive into chapter 10. So in chapter 10, we start from where we have already got some information like uh, we have already exploited one of the machine which is connected to the active directory. So we have to get some information. So before that, before that we'll get into the machine like we did before. So as you know, in the previous chapters, we exploited the eternal blue attack. Then we can do the same thing. I just have a bash script that automate the attack. So we wait for the interpretation comes up. So we got the interpretation, so but we have to do some commands on the shell. So we go to shell and then do this command. So what this command will show the users of the domain admins. It it sends this query to the domain, the AD machine, and then it reveals the information about the domain admin usernames. So we'll just run this command. And then this is the result. So we can see two usernames. One is administrator and one is Goku ADM. So these two users are the AD users. So once we get to know about the AD users, we have to look into the machines, like all the machines we got exploited, or like what machine has already logged in with these domain users. So for that, we will use the Metasploit console and then run this command. So what this command does is check all the our Windows host, so which we found in the phase one, the Windows host in the Windows machines in the Active Directory, and then we use the administrator, and then we'll use the hash which we found in the earlier phase. I can just show you right now. Hash dump. So we are using this hash here to actually use this hash to check whether any other machines. So to inside the machine, we'll use its head, and then after that, it will check the memory whether this administrative users has logged in. So what we can do is use this exploit, and then we'll set the host file here. It will be on set. Will be user back here. SME pass as enter, and then let's run this exploit. So we'll run over all the machines and then check what machines has the administrator on the user slot. As you see here, the one of the machine, the 200 machine, is the edit machine. We know that, but we assume that we don't know that. Okay. So we have for the to repeat the things on the from the book, what we have to do is make an RDP connection from the Active Directory, the AD machine. So we log into the AD machine and then log into the Radix machine using an AD admin account. So what we have to do is do an RDP or in this code, or yes, do an SSH connection. Then we just use the computer name and then press connect. And then we log in as the admin user. So we already know this the admin user. We'll just simply enter name. So this is password 265. Yep. So these things we are considering that's we from the AD. So it happens in a real environment where some admin tries to log into the some other machines to make some configurations or edit, change the settings like that. So it ran properly now. So we can see the valid machine has these users logged in. So admin administrator and then Google ADM. So we can confirm the 207 valid machine has this uh, domain admin user logged in. So what we can do next is exploit, get inside their uh, Reddit machine. So for that, we'll do like this. We use the same technique, use the administrator and the same hash. So we just this exploit is to get the bit protection. So our host is same. I just copy and paste the commands to read faster. The L host is the machine that's this own machine, the Kali machine, where we have to get the shell back and you just explore. So what this will do is open metaprecautions on all the machine which are exploitable using, like, which can be logged in using the user admin and the hash using this. So it runs like from the windows.txt, it will try to run all the machines and try to get the access. So we just do the exploit. So we were able to do exploit even on the 80 machine, but this is not our objective. So we have to get into the Reddit machine and then get inside the 80 machine. Okay. So we'll wait for it to come. We'll finish. So we can see on 207 Reddit machine also meet a registration open. So we can get that. We choose sessions and then enter. We can see two sessions established. Onto the 80, we just ignore it for now and then run to the Reddit machine. So what we can do is using the Reddit machine, we have to get into 80. So first of all, we have to get the 80 username access. So we get inside the session dash I dash 2. Yes, we are inside. We'll go to shell. Then we can do provide my. Right now it says as a system, but we have to migrate to the 80 user and then we can get the hash. So for that, we have to go back to the meter and then say load incognito. So this is the mode that loads all the password credentials running in the memory, and then it will show the tokens. List tokens by username. Yep. So here we could see the admin, the local administrator account, and then this is the golden ticket. So we were able to got the Goku ADM capsule code. So what we can do is what we can do is impersonate token. So we'll impersonate as the AD user. So we are in the memory, so we can do whatever inside the memory, switch services, switch users, whatever we can do. So for now, we will just impersonate as capsule code colon Goku ADM. Yes. Sorry. You have to use double slash call slash yes. And then get UID. Shell. Who am I? Yes. And you can see we have got access as a Goku lady. So next we'll get the hash or the clear text password of the domain user and then we'll directly log into the AD machine. So right now we consider we don't have the AD machine IP address or credentials. For that, we can use the CME cracknet exec, but it's outdated and the NetExec is the one we are using right now. But with the NetExec, there is no Mimikatz module, so we have to use another module which is called lsassy. But the thing is, uh, we don't we can't get a clear text password, but we can get the hash. Hash is enough for to do all the commands what we have to do in this chapter. So what we will do is, so this is the command we will use to get the credentials or hash or clear text password if we are lucky. For the users that are currently logged in the Reddit machine. So the Reddit machine has the IP 207. So just run the command, enter, and wait for the output. So yes, so as you see here, we couldn't get the clear text password, but we were able to get the hash of the password. So we'll just save it. So we can use this password to log in to other machines. So before moving on to log into the admin machine, we have to know what's the password, what's the IP of the admin machine. For now, we don't have any info about the IP of the admin, but we can do like we already got the Reddit access. So what we can do is get the Reddit access and then run the CMD command to ping the domain. So we get to know this the domain name. So we can do like this, and then we'll get the result output in the terminal. So we were able to see here the ping got success and the IP is start 200. So in the next command, we will just directly attack the admin machine with the hash we already got of the domain admin, and then we will execute some commands. So as I have explained previously in the presentation, we have to get the NTDS.dit file, which is like a snapshot of the machine. So what we will do is we'll get a snapshot of the machine and the system hive file, and then get it into our machine, and then use the secretsdump.py the Impacket tool to get all the hashes of the domain users, which is like the golden ticket where we can get the full control of the entire network. So when an active directory is exploited, which means we get all entire access of the network because we will get each user account and the password or hash. It's the same thing. We can use the hash to uh, run any commands, whatever we can do. So right now we will try to do that. So first of all, it's called VSS admin. So we have to check whether the VSS admin has a, a, a snapshot copy. So what we have to do is use this hash to run commands similar to here into the AD machine to get whether we can find out whether we have to make a snapshot or is the snapshot is already made. So this is the command to do that. So I have used specify the ADIP and the username as the domain admin username, and this is the hash we got from the previous commands. And this is the command we have to do. So we do VSS admin list shadows. Shadows is the snapshot where we have already get a snapshot. If we have already got a snapshot, we can just move from that. If not, we have to create a snapshot. So we'll wait for this result. So it says we already have a snapshot and then we already see where the snapshot exists. If the snapshot doesn't or isn't already created, we can just reassess admin and then create shadow. We can then run this command. I just run it for you. SSH, we shouldn't have S. Yep. Just run it again. And then you can see here, creates a new shadow copy. Create a shadow copy. So we have to specify for which local drive you're gonna create the shadow copy. So my bad. For we'll see colon. Yes, we could see we got a hard disk volume shadow copy. So previously, as you can see here in the previous we did list shadow, so we were able to see copy 2, and then now we got copy 3. So we can move forward from here. So what we have to do is from the snapshot, we extract the uh, two files, NTDS.dit and then the system hi file. So first of all, we copy the NTDS.dit to a temporary directory. So which is like C. We'll just copy into the C local C drive. So this is the command to do it, and then press enter, and then we could see one file copied successfully. And then we will just copy use similar commands. So this command is nothing but username hash, and then the command. And the command will just copy from the location, so you know where it is parent snapshot was at. And press enter, and then we could see one file copied. So what you have to do next is to a SMB client and then get the file. So for that, we'll use the Impacket SMB client. We have the hashes, so we can just simply log in. So we're basically using the domain account. So we use lscd. Give me a second. So after we copy to the C drive, we have to copy those files to our local machine. So what we can do is just do the SNP client command to this machine using the admin account. So wait a second. So we have to get the NTDS.t and the system hi file to our local machine. Then only we can use the secret dumps to get the hashes of all the users. So for that, before that, we have to use SNB to get inside the machine and copy the thing. So we just use this command in packet 2. We use UC as ls. So we could see the NTDS dot there, and this is file is here. We just do get NTDS dot dit. Just takes some time and it gets this. And that way we'll get access. And then you could see here the sys and the NTDS. You can move it there inside the labs. Yes, so we already have it here. The last command to use is use the secret dumps command to get the hashes of all the users in the active directory. So this is the last step. We just specify the NTDS.date and the system sys. So we'll just use impact get secret dump. So this is the command we'll use. Then we wait for the hashes. So we could see go up and we could see all the users here. This is the machine credentials. And we could see this the all different users and their hashes. So this is the final step to control entire network. So as you see in this session, like we came from chapter 1 to chapter 10 now. So from the beginning, we understood how a pen testing works and then how we can exploit pen testing using some simple misconfiguration like default credentials like that. And then we get to know how to exploit even without credentials. Use, for example, the eternal blue attack. And then from getting the tunnel blue access and then get the hash dump and then do the lateral movement. And the final step is the controlling the entire network using the Active Directory. So hope this chapter helps you. Thank you for watching.